Hello.
It's Thin Ice. It's Sam, it's Jack. This is our first time properly talking in person, and I am slightly drunk. How'd you feel about this?
My thing is that I love Series 10. I'm such a Season 10 apologist. For me, the absolute peak of the show.
What does it do for you, other than, like, beautiful, wondrous cast and scripts?
I mean, you kind of hit it on the head. Series 9, Series 8, I was, like, worn out, and I was like, oh, here we go again. Hellbent did a lot.
You're losing me, Jack. All right, we're not a minute in, and I'm sorry, Jack has to go, fellas.
It's good. Okay, it's got world enough in time. I think that's it.
The thing I always say when it comes to season is, it still feels like the newest season of Doctor Who. And I think that's insane. Like, there's something about Bill Potts, I still look at her and go, oh yeah, the new series of Doctor Who. Even though an entire era has passed since then.
Oh, completely.
That's not even Chibnall bashing. It's how good of a reboot they do.
And that's why it's great that we're going straight in with episode 3, as I like to call it, the Dead Kid Variety Hour, because there are so many dead kids in this episode. Like, I've counted.
We're in the beginning of the Victorian age. This is the standard fare. Do you think we were going to do a Victorian story without a dead kid?
We're kicking off the episode with a dead child's shoe.
Baby shoes never worn. To me, this is like a play on the Unquiet Dead. They're serving the same purpose as, like, look, we can go to the past. So let's go to a very, like, accessible entry-level past adventure. I think this story does such a better job of establishing what the show is capable of than 1800s Cardiff Charles Dickens.
Also, best Capaldi look. I mean, come on, man. Like, he looks so good here.
He looks like he lives in this century.
The hat. He looks like a Paddington villain.
I want that bear. Bum, 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 bum. Series 10 Capaldi is a perfect combination of Series 8 and Series 9 Capaldi. It's like perfect meeting in the middle of these utilitarian values, the deep care and new respect for empathy. But then in Series 9, of course, he goes way too far down the other end. He's like, I need to save Clara. I'm going to save Clara.
Oh, completely, yeah.
And then we get to this, and he's letting kids die because he has to pick his battles. Weird moral? Maybe, but it's mature. We've done a lot of character work to get here. It's so considered and cliche busting. Sarah Dollard has taken a Russell T Davies theme and evolved it for once.
I've done some digging. I don't want to turn this into Broke Canon. I'm going to turn it into Broke Canon.
Never heard of it.
If she took that flyer, Stevie Wonder may not have been able to know where the fair is, because Stevie Wonder's here right now, which means that River and Eleven would be looking for him. That means that River would not get back in time to meet Rory, which means that everyone dies. Amy never finds out who her baby is, which changes Let's Kill Hitler, which means Hitler dies, so does the Doctor, and so does Rory.
Broke Canon's torture porn.
Doctor took me ice skating on the River Thames in 1814, the last of the Great Frost Fairs. He got Stevie Wonder to sing for me under London Bridge.
Something the story does for me immediately is it has fun in its location. It takes a good 10 minutes for the plot to really get started. We're just enjoying time and space, which happens remarkably little in this show about time and space.
Yeah. Now, what we're looking at right now is what's the word on? Well, he's about to steal something. And how do we feel about sort of
theft? How do we feel about common theft? That's a big question, Jack.
Wow. Have you got your TV license? That's the real question. So he's just stolen a pie, which he keeps in his hat.
Sick, twisted bastard. Doctor, have you ever killed anyone?
No, but I stole a pork pie earlier. Clara, I've stolen this pie. I've got it for you.
When you see the narrative slow down and you get to see Doctor and Companion just walking around a fully fleshed out environment, it makes me question why we don't have this all the time. The marketplace in Rings of Akaten or like Blitz London, just walking down some streets. Surely that's the appeal of it. And if the characters aren't enjoying traveling around the universe, what are they there for?
She's a bad girl, this one. Always looking for trouble.
Look, this comes from a long line, a long legacy of dead kids in Doctor Who. It's a tradition. We've got school reunion, Stolen Earth, we got skinned baby Slovene from Sarah Jane Adventures, Children of Earth.
Think of it. I mean, this is just upsetting. Look at that poor child.
Oh no, not bobbins.
Yeah, we were just having like a fun holiday, and then you've just like mercilessly ripped a sonic screwdriver out of a kid's hand. It's a buzzkill.
This season just nails it a little bit more for me, because I feel like if this was season 8, Bill would be in the ice right now. Like, she'd be down.
And if it was series 9, Bill would be dead and 12 would be like diving to the bottom of the lake to get her. I would do that for Pearl Mackie.
Oh, completely. I mean, I'm going to say best companion of the new show, I think.
She's the only one who seems to actually enjoy sci-fi. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She knows who Doctor Strange is, and it's like, I can't actually imagine Rory ever having watched Star Wars in his life.
All right, Gav. Welcome to our little den.
Very Oliver Twist, isn't it? He's very, like, Fagin.
Little fucking tuppence.
Etc.
You kill my mate Spider. Oh, this adds another thing, which I cannot wait. There's a character in this, I don't know where he is. I think it's that little boy. And they get his name wrong like 3 different times in this episode.
Like his name changes?
But he's got like 3 different names. Yeah, like...
That's so funny.
Everyone dies.
Some at the age of 9.
Everybody dies, Clara.
It's a superpower.
Including Clara. Have you seen Nope at all? The new Jordan Peele movie?
It's one of the greatest movies of last year. Where is Nope coming into this?
So Nope sort of does like Jaws of the Sky. It's taking sort of like a alien spacey thing, but doing it in a different context that you don't really get in New Who.
I've got an interesting counter to that, if I may. Maybe not underwater, absolutely not, unless you go to those little fucking annoying little sea devils. This is, my friend has mentioned to them, this is a trilogy. You've got Beast Below, you've got Kill the Moon, and then Thin Ice. And it is all just moral dilemmas about killing a massive innocent creature.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think these are the sort of stories where Doctor Who flourishes the best.
Definitely. And I think this is the best. Again, I won't get into season 8. I know you love Kill the Moon.
Enough out of you, actually. It's like 1 life for 1 billion. And it's like, yeah, we know.
Yeah.
He'll go for the billion.
He did not go for that one kid, let me tell you.
No, that one life can drown. This is, by the way, the only pure historical in Revival Who?
Yes.
Am I right in saying that?
I mean...
The Isophilus, or whatever it's called. Apparently, it is a native to Earth.
I love that.
And you could say, so are the Sea Devils, so are the Silurians, but in that case, I would tell you to jog on and go jump in the sea.
Oh, what do you mean? You don't want to talk about Legend of the Sea Devils? What?
Not today, no.
Not today.
My blood sugar's quite high.
Enough about that kid. We'll leave that kid.
Rest in peace.
Real quick, this looks beautiful. What an amazing episode. I don't know the director. I do apologize, but it looks so good.
I think the best praises you can give this story is costuming and production design, and that's, again, it's all in the location because it's so well realized. Just have them walk around and it's good TV.
Let's get eating.
So you know what we think of this story, but what do the people say? These reviews are from the YouTube comment section on Dr. Punch's Racist. Oh, bloody racism. This is the moment the show died.
Oh, brilliant.
Excuse me, bitch. Who the hell do you think you are speaking to? Someone like that? Thank you, Peter, for punching this guy in the face. It's a solid review.
They've sure got the spirit of the episode. With the punch, right? The way I think of it is that some people took complaints of it, and it's like, why did he punch the racist?
See, that's just not an ethical dilemma I've ever pondered. On the nose. I'll show you on the nose.
And of course he would punch a racist. Of course he would.
On broadcast, I wondered whether it was patronizing. But actually, looking back, it just had its finger very much on the pulse. This is a Doctor who would specifically throw a milkshake, you know?
Yes.
This season especially, which is, I still think, the most outspoken political season of the show ever, including the Pertwee years.
Yep.
We name drop pretty much everybody in this cultural moment. And 2017 was, by the way, if you weren't there, a cultural moment. Nice one, Doctor. Had Sutcliffe's brain still been torn, or had your punch induced a hemorrhage or a hematoma in his brain, or had he suffered cerebral edema, or struck his head on the floor panels or against an armrest on the way down and suffered a depressed skull fracture, then you'd be guilty of first-degree murder via a coward sucker punch, no
Wow.
less.
Wow.
So think about that, Doctor Who.
Oh my god. Hey, tell it to the Ogrons. Oh my god.
If you introduce a character called Lord Toth Bovington, and then he acts like a Toth Bovington, he should get punched. That's what characters like this exist for in the arts.
The creature's head is almost a mile away. I assume we're now at the other end.
Don't pick it up. How do we feel about poo? It's poo, isn't it? I mean, not just in general, but how do we feel about poo?
Pooh. Very funny, very smelly. I'm kind of down for Pooh. It's presenting an alternative energy source in an episode about a dying industry, right?
Yeah. I just think they look like Serene bars. That's all I can think of.
Series 10 has a lot of man-made evils.
Yes.
You know, from the beginning, even right through to the end, obviously.
Yeah.
It very clearly has a single enemy in line of sight.
Oh, yeah.
And I really like it for that. It's not as, like, character cohesive as maybe Series 8 or Series 9 is. This era of Who, this brief little window, knows who its fucking enemies are, and it's not ashamed of it for pointing them out.
And it literally is like people, except for the monks and maybe Eaters of Light. It literally is just people. Like,
you know, fake news central. One more comment from the YouTube comment section. This one's from Bobaloo Bob. Just says Scottish.
I mean, I can't deny that. I mean, I think he's nailed it.
He's not wrong.
He's not wrong.
But then he goes on to say, like grabbing the face mask of an Antifa slug. And I have to assume that meant something in 2017.
Yeah. Of a what? What's he grabbing? Hang on a second.
I have no fucking clue. But let's not look into it. We'll go crazy. We could do a whole analysis video on that comment.
Yeah. If you've got problems with the punch, drop your comments down below. We'll come back to them, I'm sure.
I think he had a punch left in him from the wall back in Heaven Sent. You know, it's just like one more in him. He was just winding it up.
Yeah.
Imagine 12 rocking up in Rosa. I think Krasko would have been fucking running the opposite direction.
Let's talk about this, because it is, when people talk about, like, his speeches, I feel like it's always the Zygon one, or the, you know, World Enough and Dr. Fool's one. And I feel like this one doesn't get the love it deserves, and it's so good.
Human progress isn't measured by industry. It's measured by the value you place on a life.
I think this one could benefit from being more specific. I've seen a lot of people say, like, oh, beautiful words, I'm pro-life from the Doctor there. And I'm like, Mrs. Dollard. It's a fantastic scene, and I love that Capaldi has the time and the nuance for these kind of moments, which he doesn't always throughout his era, because he just kills them. But also, what's his reaction? This David Cameron-looking twat? This is the face of the man who didn't listen to a word you just said.
Oh my god, completely.
It's the same fucking scene.
And I feel like it's so great that we are touching on, like, race, and season 10 is the season to do it. I mean, famous pig shit enthusiast Gareth Roberts tried with Shakespeare Code.
Thin Ice has all the tact that the Shakespeare Code would have really benefited from.
Yeah.
I appreciate both and what they both do, but obviously this is like the actual mantra for how to handle historicals from now on, isn't it? On that note, idealized history. When Doctor Who goes to the past, it's never going to be an accurate depiction of the past, but you can choose in your fictional version of that time period, are you going to have racism in it? Are you going to idealize it and wish-wash it away? This is something that's obviously a conversation that's been happening more and more and more. Pirates of the Caribbean is my go-to example. They've been toning pirates down for a few years, which, fair, maybe I don't go on vacation to see the merry jolly song about women being sold into sex trafficking. But keeping the rapier sleaze isn't any more realistic. It's still a fantasy past. Just which tone are you going to come at it with? And Doctor Who largely doesn't have a consistent answer to that. I think Thin Ice meets you in the middle perfectly.
Oh, completely.
It does not tone down any of the evils. If anything, it underlines them, but it also just like hits you with some truths of history is a whitewash.
Yeah.
And that was so fucking refreshing, not just in 2017, but for Doctor Who.
Oh, completely. And I think that's why maybe people take issues with the Paul Cornell Human Nature two-parter, because that is so like depressing, and you're like, oh, poor Martha.
Yeah, and that's the other side of it. Although Human Nature does have its own reasons for portraying history like that, I don't think a person of colour watching it would describe it as escapism, you know?
Yeah.
I can see all of those past adventures, all these past historicals in Thin Ice.
Why is it up to me?
Because it can't be up to me.
This is one of the most underrated episodes of the show.
Yes.
It's my favourite from the season, easily. It wasn't broadcast. It's odd because it's not usually the kind of story I would find exciting.
It's your favourite, did you say?
Easy.
Wow. Not even even the finale?
Oxygen Extremis, Empress of Mars, Eaters of Light, take your pick. My taste is dog shit. Okay, so Schema, I've got a point to prove, and I will prove it to you over the course of this adventure. McCoy is not my favourite kind of Doctor. But Capaldi just pulls it off because there's more. I just see the empathy in his eyes, and I see the empathy on the script. It's not a nasty point he's making either. I think this is the only way to show Bill this has to be our approach to this lifestyle, because otherwise it's destroyed me in the last 2 seasons. It's not a lesson she needs to learn for greater good, for her own benefit, like in the McCoy years. Agency, it's an A word. He gives the final choice to Bill, and I don't think he's trying to make a point like in Kill the Moon. He's not being patronising. I believe him when he says, this is your choice. You make the call, you're the boss.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I was just laughing. Did you see that guy with his legs behind his back trying to escape? He's definitely getting Ian. Everyone gets Ian in this story.
Unlike Tennant would have done, unlike Smith would have done, you know, because we've seen this happen before in Beast Below and Kill the Moon.
Yeah.
There isn't a wrong answer to this one. I think he would have respected her wishes.
Like, when you look at, like, the biggest moments in the show, you never think just, like, watching a fish just wriggle its way out of some chains is going to be like, yes, but we're here and I'm enjoying it. There's this incredible bit earlier where the fish and it sort of pans out, and I like to think that it would be like that scene in Heaven Sent with the skulls underwater, but if you panned out, it would just be loads of kids' shoes.
Oh, he's off.
There he goes. Because we've had sort of the Rosas and the Demons of the Punjab, which are great, but they are like very heavy, and this is what we're doing. Yeah. It's nice to have one which sort of doesn't, again, not saying that those episodes do, but this story doesn't talk down to you.
Yeah, and class is one of those quite flexible themes that you can bring a lot of different tones to.
Yeah.
Because it's, you know, it's the beginning of the Victorian era. It's well-walked ground. It's not super sensitive, you know? It's actually the perfect environment for being able to stretch your legs a bit when it comes to Doctor Who in the past.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, I think that's why writers keep going back to it. It's such like a comfort zone. And on a good day, you get ones like this, and on a bad day, you get stuff like The Snowman.
Listen, Charles Dickens wasn't the first historical figure of the revival by accident. He's probably more influential onto British fantasy specifically, more than like anything else.
Yeah. Sorry, are you being nice to the Unquiet Dead? Because I can hear Lawrence Miles knocking on your door right now.
It's fine. I got.
He's coming.
I got Gattis downstairs. I've been waterboarding him for his comments he made in the Times. So actually,
he's in your basement.
Come on in, Miles. This is to me a total reinvention of the show. To me, it's so brand new. It's such a bold vision to the same degree as Mothman, Rusty Davis, and Lawrence Miles did before her. And it's this story and Face of the Raven that shows me, yeah, man, we had showrunner material here probably.
And I feel like it's just the great setting as well. I feel like Sarah is just so good at just being like, here's this really cool lived-in world. Yeah, I want to stay here.
To me, that's Doctor Who. To me, that should be a main principle of Doctor Who, and it's just so often not. If Moffat plays with narrative, and if Rusty Davis plays with drama, let's just play with location. Let's make that the number one focus of an era. Sarah Dollard is the perfect example of Stephen Moffat like basically getting a fan submission and then being like, yeah, all right, come on in. You can like earn your stripes whilst you carry my series arc to the finish line, and it paid off tenfold in Thin Ice. So the fact that that is not an opportunity gateway to writing for the show in the future, it's just a shame. Isn't
Completely. Thin Ice.
Pretty nice. I think this one could have changed the show forever, and in my estimations, at least it did.
Yeah.
Jack, where can people find you? And by that I mean dox your address.
My Twitter handle changes every 2 seconds. MadMcgann. They call me MadMcgann. The Series 7.5 stan. Go check out Series 7.5 on Big Finish. Everyone, go do that. Go do that now.
Your plug is for the Big Finish company.
I am like single-handedly like selling that on the streets, along with myself, to get money to pay for alien bodies.
Goodbye to the Iceophilus, the original EastEnder.
The original Pat Butcher of Doctor Who.